Hey, it's Clayton and Jack, and in this video we're going to talk about the 3 types of emotionally unavailable guys. Now, if this is your first time to my channel, I want to encourage you to subscribe by clicking the subscribe button and the bell notification below to get notifications of all the new content that I put out. And if you also are unfamiliar with our work and anything in this video pops or resonates with you, we want to encourage you to sign up for our free webinar called The 3 Keys to Attracting and Keeping a High Quality Man. So why are we going to talk about emotionally unavailable men today?
It's a huge topic, and it's one that we know a lot of you are searching for because you've got problems in this territory. Maybe you've been ghosted, maybe you've been breadcrumbed, maybe you've had a guy kind of pull the rug beneath you, maybe you've had a guy who's just not able to connect with you. And this video is really going to help you. And I particularly want to encourage you to stay right to the end because the final 2 of these 3 archetypes, I don't think you're going to come across this information elsewhere, and it's really powerful.
Totally. All right.
So take it away?
Take it away.
Okay, so the first one is the emotionally unavailable man. And this is probably the archetype that you have come across. Probably you've come across this guy in your dating. Maybe you've even tried to be in a relationship with this guy. This guy is typically not willing to give too much to the relationship in terms of time, in terms of energy, attention, and presence. Generally, he's going to want to keep the connection kind of limited. It's more of a surface level connection. He's not necessarily want to go deep with you or get deeply emotionally connected with you. And he's also not available for a commitment. You could probably refer to him as a commitment phobe. That's not really what his game is about. He's going to try and minimize the amount of commitment and obligation that he feels to you. So,
yeah, I love that. So what I hear you saying is he's really easy to spot because his connection level in terms of how deeply he's able to connect with you is really low. He keeps it surface level.
Yes.
While simultaneously, his commitment levels are really low.
So kind of low connection, low commitment.
Yeah, he's not willing to make plans in the future. He's not willing to bring you into different domains of his life.
Yeah, you might always have to make the effort to kind of reach out to him. He's not really progressing or deepening the relationship.
Got it.
Cool.
Got it. So the next one we're going to talk about is the emotionally available, unavailable man. Now this is the guy, if we were looking at these 2 vectors of connection and commitment, this guy's connection is off the charts. Or let's just say that it's higher.
Right, high connection.
So high connection. He's willing to connect with you. He's willing to dive deep with you. He comes off as a heart-open individual that is willing to traverse many different emotional depths. He's vulnerable. You're able to be vulnerable with him. Maybe you even feel emotionally safe with him in some ways.
Yeah,
and this can be so damn confusing because he's not actually willing or able to bring the commitment up. He's not willing to commit with you. He's not willing to see you as his girlfriend. Maybe he's not even open to a monogamous relationship, but he is willing to experience strong, deep feelings for you. And if you're in this situation, this is a really confusing one because look, I've been that guy in that place coming out of a breakup where I'm craving intimacy, I'm craving emotional connection to be seen, and yet I don't feel like I have it in me to be in a commitment.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, the reason I came up with this emotionally available, unavailable guy, EAUG, was kind of in making a previous video, I realized oh, I was this guy.
Yeah.
And that it's less common. The people don't talk about this, but actually when I put it out there, people were like, wow, they were resonating. This is a real thing that people experience.
Yeah.
And this guy is confusing, and I was confusing in the past, and I apologize for this because I didn't even know that that's what I was.
Right.
Because I had emotional availability and was heart open.
Right.
I had the experience of I'm available.
Yeah.
I'm an available guy. I'm available to commit, but I wasn't really in contact with the hard reality of actually, I'm not that available to commit. And my orientation was often I'm trying to help you, I'm trying to heal you, I'm trying to open your heart, all good things, but when they're not in a container of commitment, generally leads to heartbreak.
Great distinction. Yeah, another place that this shows up in a really extreme example is with married men. A guy who is in a relationship with a woman and he is the starved for emotional connection with her, but he's got the commitment with her, right? So the commitment he's experiencing strongly with one woman, but he's not able to fulfill that emotional connection, so he ends up falling in love with you. And what you experience with him is absolutely real. No one can tell you otherwise. It is an absolutely real emotion that the both of you are experiencing.
Yes.
However, he has no intentions of leaving his wife.
Right.
There's no intention of leaving his family.
Constraint that's never going to go away.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So let's move into the third one, the third type of emotionally unavailable man.
So this one, we've kind of got a placeholder name. We call it the Heartless Husband. And so if we do the hands thing here, right? This is someone that's high on commitment, but actually low on emotional connection.
What does that look like? I mean, that just seems almost confusing.
It's a little bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah, how does that even show up?
Yeah. So it might be the guy that's actually willing to be committed, potentially married.
Yeah.
but he's not doing it on the basis of a deep emotional connection with you. He's doing it on the basis that he wants to be married, he wants a commitment, he wants that checked off in his life. And it's almost like you fit into the picture, but it's not deeply about you. It's really more about him and his wants and desires.
Like anybody will do, any woman
kind of
will
we
do.
could swap you in or out, possibly, is the way that you might feel about this. And he shows up, other people might think he's good for you because he's solid, he's a provider. But really, he's not heart open to you, and his emotional life isn't brought to you, and you don't probably feel that emotionally connected. You may be feeling a bit guilty about that, right? Because
totally,
you might say, I've got a great husband, but actually, when it comes to the emotional heart connectedness, the real intimacy, as we might call it, it's pretty much devoid in a relationship.
I think this one can drive women crazy. Because they get everything they want on paper, right? Just like he's getting everything he wants on paper. But there's some level, there's some qualitative kind of right brain artistic thing that you're wanting, which is the soul of the relationship, is just missing. And I think this provides the perfect breeding ground for infidelity. So if you're in a relationship with a guy who you are feeling that is high commitment but low connection, this is where you start to look for something else, right? Just like the man who might be looking for a mistress on the side. He's got a high commitment with his wife, but he's ultimately looking to fill up this connection tank. So if you're in the situation, know that you're not crazy. I think that's one of the reasons why we're distinguishing this, is because it's elusive, and you might be thinking, well, shouldn't I want this? Shouldn't I be satisfied? I've got a guy who's committed to me. We had a great wedding, or we're in a relationship and he says he's fully in and wanted me to be his girlfriend.
Probably has an amazing career maybe, or like can completely provide. Maybe you don't even have to work. He might just be providing that much.
But for whatever reason, he's not present with you. And maybe he's even present physically, but when it comes down to his attention and the way he connects with you, he's just not available. He's not there.
And by the way, this doesn't need to be malicious, right? This just might be that for whatever good reason in the past, he decided to shut that down. Maybe that wasn't available to him in childhood. Maybe he had a bad previous relationship. Maybe he's just not a very emotionally literate guy. So if this is you, we don't want to say, oh, this can never work with this guy. We're actually going to offer you an opportunity to bring some of your initiative and leadership into the connection and maybe start to take a stand that this is something you want to explore with him. And the big distinction that is helpful here, I think, is being able to distinguish emotional authenticity from emotional reactivity. Sometimes in this situation, you might have the experience that this guy really isn't available when I share my emotion with him, but the emotion you're sharing with him sometimes could be you're actually reacting, blaming, or shaming, rather than getting vulnerable and touching the deeper emotion inside of you. And it's that deeper vulnerability that tends to open most men up.
So just pause here for a moment, just in case anybody is wondering, how does this actually look in a relationship? So what Jack's basically saying is this might be the way to crack the guy open. So you might be really frustrated that you're not able to connect with him. And rather than blaming him for that, rather than writing him off as some guy who doesn't love you enough or isn't emotionally available, it's being able to bring that perhaps sadness, that yearning, that feeling of knowing that the relationship is important enough to you to bring that vulnerable emotion to the table as an offering and as a want, rather than accusing him, trying to crack him open and shame him into connecting with you.
Totally. Yeah, and if this has been your situation, you may have resorted to tactics that you might not even be that proud of. Oftentimes, if women aren't getting a certain level of emotional connection, you'll try and get it by creating a negative emotion, right? By kicking things off or trying to make demands or getting into arguments with him, because at least there's an emotional connection, right? If we're arguing, but actually...
Great point.
Right.
Great point,
All adult relationships are going to have some kind of conflict and argument. That in itself isn't a problem. It's just we want to be able to share and invite him. It's almost like you're taking him by the hand and inviting him. And most men, if you are particularly expressing sadness and yearning, most men, even if they're not super emotional, will respond to that, right? You'll bring online probably their protector. And this is almost, we talk about vulnerability as filter. If you do this and are vulnerable in this way, not just once, but let's say a few times, and there's no response at all from your guy, that may be a clue that, okay, maybe this just isn't available in this connection. But we want you to really make the efforts to see, hey, maybe there's something that's possible that hasn't been experienced yet, and vulnerability is the way into it.
And by the way, just a quick plug, we want to invite you to the webinar, the 3 keys to attract and keep a high quality man, whether you're in a relationship with a guy or single, because we dive into this component of vulnerability in full detail over a 15 to 20 minute teaching segment on how to bring that aspect to the relationship.
So if you like what you're listening to, we'd love for you to join us in the webinar. Just click the link below this video. It will be the first link there. You can find a time that works for you in your time zone. We will look forward to seeing you there.
Take care.